your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, good evening to you, and it has been an interesting day. Red flag warning in effect across the region because of the very strong winds that we've had today. We have had fires all over the place because of these winds and just how dry things are. Look at the current wind gust in Champaign right now. It's 43 miles an hour. I mean, that is some strong wind, and you know, if you've been out there at all driving, even having to drive the vehicle, especially on those east-west routes, because you're getting hit broadside by those southerly winds. Okay, satellite radar showing generally clear skies, and it's been a nice warm day with readings into the low 80s. That's going to be a thing of the past. A big drop-off in the temperatures heading our way after tonight. We'll talk about that and more about these fires and what has led to them and the conditions coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now on WCIA 3 News.
That wind Kevin just mentioned is making for a dangerous situation in the fields today where crews have been responding to several fires. Plus, one of the bicyclists hit by a semi over the weekend has died, where he helped the community as a doctor.
And Illinois is breaking records for early voting. We will tell you all about that.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 5.
Field fires sparked across central Illinois today, but the weather worked against firefighters as they tried to put them out. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jennifer Roscoe. Because we are seeing a lot of pop-up fires, Champaign County's EMA is urging people to be careful on the roads as crews respond. We have team coverage for you tonight. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen is live in Champaign County near Route 10 between Rising and Staley Roads. And Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty is here with us to tell us why we are seeing these conditions. But first, we're going to go to Jennifer. So what are you seeing?
Jennifer, several fire departments responded to the field fire that was right back there in those crops that had not yet been harvested. It took about 30 minutes for them to put that fire out, but they said it could have taken longer if they weren't able to tackle that because of the challenges that they face. These strong winds and also very dry conditions posed a challenge for these firefighters. The Corn Belt Fire Chief told me that they were able to get a handle on it, fortunately, but those things were working against them today. And other field fires also popped up today in Vermilion County and another area of Champaign County. Those fires are out now, but we will continue to monitor those throughout the night, as the Corn Belt Fire Chief told me that they would not be surprised if more fires did spark up in the fields here. He also wanted to put out another message to please have everybody here in central Illinois, as these winds continue, to not burn debris or leaves today, because that is another reason that these fires could spark up as well. So he said, as a warning, please, anybody at their homes or on their properties, please do not burn those leaves or debris so that they can contain the possibility of those more fires. So live here, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Jennifer, thank you so much. You could just see the wind out there, how bad it is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Kevin Lighty is also in studio. Kevin, you mentioned right at the top of the newscast that red flag warning. It's been on our WCIA 3 weather app all day. I was checking just the temperature, looked at it. Obviously, you don't think much of it if you're just looking at it, but explain a little bit more about what that means.
So the red flag warning, you don't want to do any burning, and it's because of 3 different factors that cause this to really get out of control. You've got dry vegetation, lower humidity, and strong winds that can become an issue here. And so, as you can see here on the drought monitor, we have drought conditions that are in place here across the area. So there's your dry vegetation. Here's your humidity values. 19% is really low humidity. So there's 2 strikes. And the third one, boom, throw in 43-mile-an-hour winds to fan the flames if they get going with the dry vegetation, and you're going to have some big issues. That's what we had out there today. This is amazing, too. We can actually pick up on the radar smoke from some of the fires. There's been talk about another fire down near Carlinville, and that's the smoke showing up on radar. And then closer to home here in Champaign County, you can see some other ones, possibly a fire that was down into portions of Douglas County there near Atwood. You can see that because it's not raining out there, I can tell you that. So those little blips are actually smoke. Now, we were out there as well where Jennifer Jensen was at I-72 and Rising Road, as they were putting out the fires, they were putting out the little hot spots, but also we were on the scene there as there was an accident that occurred there as well, right at I-72 and Rising Road, and maybe it's hard to say exactly how that was, all caused, but you can see there, accident there, it was right by where the fires were, smoke possibly having something to do with it, or you're seeing that smoke in those fields there, but again, a dangerous situation out there tonight with the fires, and the winds are going to stay strong over the next several hours, so still that red flag warning in effect. Paul?
All right, Kevin, some good information. Thanks. Crews are working to learn why a mobile home caught fire in Urbana. It happened near the corner of Crystal Lake Drive and Cunningham Avenue. Urbana's fire chief says it started in the kitchen, but they don't know exactly why. The chief says the home was destroyed and the family likely lost everything. The people and pets inside made it out safely. A neighbor who knows them says he is thankful they are safe.
I was in the crib, heard a whole bunch of popping noises, and next thing you know, come outside, fire trucks and everybody outside. Being in these trailer parks is like everybody's around here is family. We all look out for each other no matter what.
The fire chief says the home did have smoke detectors, but they did not go off. A bicyclist who was hit by a semi in Mahomet has died. 56-year-old William Shue was hit on Sunday afternoon. He was biking on Illinois Route 150 by Spring Lake Road. Police are still looking for the driver who hit him. Shue was the chief medical officer for Carle and was an associate professor at the Carle Illinois College of Medicine. Colleagues describe him as selfless, and you can see why. His family says he was also an organ donor and was a big advocate that others should be too.
We have an update on the murder of a toddler last year. A man has been sentenced in her death. Anthony Myers was given 30 years for the death of 2-year-old Tanaja Barnes. Barnes was found in her Decatur home wrapped in a urine-soaked blanket, a body temperature so low it didn't register on a thermometer. Myers was the live-in boyfriend of Barnes' mother, Twanica Davis. She's serving a 20-year sentence for her daughter's death. Champaign police are looking for a man who robbed a CVS. They say he went inside at Green and Neal Street last night around 9 and demanded money from a worker. He also had a gun, and then he took off on a bike. Police say he's a 6-foot-tall white man in his 30s. If you have any information, call police.
Here's a look at today's coronavirus numbers. There are more than 2,800 new cases across the state in the last 24 hours. That brings the total to more than 327,000 infections. The 7-day positivity rate is still rising and is now up to 4.6%. 49 more people have died. The state has seen more than 9,000 COVID-related deaths since the pandemic began. Illinois is seeing record numbers of early votes cast this election season. There are still 3 weeks until the election, but there are already more than 600,000 ballots counted in the state, 500,000 of which were mail-in ballots. The number doubles the early votes that were cast in the last election cycle.
But we're very encouraged because it does seem like voters have taken all this to heart. The ones who really want to avoid going into a polling place at all have requested vote by mail ballots.
It's expecting to send more than 2 million mail-in ballots. The deadline for registering to vote online is this Sunday, October 18th.
You might think weather could be behind dead crops for some farmers. How a Target 3 investigation found the bigger problem could be under the ground.
And schools in one county are getting some help in the fight against COVID-19. What one group is doing.